Welcome back to another Q&A video. Post your questions down below and let's get started. What strength standard is required for one to be able to pull off bear mode, 15 to 20% body fat? For example, if you're an early mid novice, you're not going to look like you lift on that body fat. Well, I very much disagree with that final statement. The thing is, 15% is a lot leaner than most people realize. Those who claim 12 are usually around 15. Those who claim 15 are around 20. The reality is that 15% is an athletic, healthy body fat percentage that looks good on most individuals, with the exception being guys who really don't have any muscle mass whatsoever. But late novice, you're getting close to intermediate, you've put on a pretty good amount of muscle, you're closing in on that 2-plate bench. You should look pretty good at 15. Maybe not ideal, but you're going to look pretty good. I guess I would agree in the sense that 20% is not ideal if you don't have a lot of muscle mass, which is why the bear mode range is 15 to 20% body fat, right? But the thing is too, we must factor in the fat distribution, which will vary from person to person. You might be one of those lucky guys who stores a lot of fat in the arms, not so much in the face or the gut, or it goes to your upper back, So that's a very important thing to consider. Like, I know a guy who did not even lift, but he had flawless fat distribution. Nothing on the face, just straight to glutes, upper back, and arms. He looked like a tank, all right? So that could be you. But maybe you're not that lucky guy. This is why you have to calibrate, find out what's best. But I'm going to say the more jacked you are, the more you can get away with pulling off the higher body fat look. And I would say for those who want to look bear mode, being an intermediate lifter is probably ideal for this. And of course, advanced is even better. Alex, aren't you shredded? If so, isn't that bad? Kind of the opposite of the first question, but no. Your boy's not shredded. I'd have to lose another 20 pounds, I think, to get down to that ultimate level of leanness. I think I would weigh in the 140s and maybe, just maybe, in the 130s. So I'm not shredded. I'm lean, but just about that. Nothing too crazy. This is not unrealistic. A lot of you guys can pull this off. I'm not the leanest guy in YouTube fitness, as you can tell, So there's definitely some fluff. I'm not super crisp, and that's okay. You don't have to be shredded to be healthy. You don't have to be shredded to look good. Just being decently lean, it allows you to enjoy your life more, in my opinion. And at the same time, it's sustainable, and it makes sense. So will I ever get shredded one of these days? It's not really an objective of mine, but if I were to compete on a bodybuilding stage, then I guess I'd have to, right? But that's not really my objective either. Or if I want to achieve calisthenics mastery, obviously I'm going to have to do another cut to do that. The question is, will I get shredded in the process? If that occurs, then so be it. But I already know that I'm going to look small as hell. If you're a real natural and you get shredded, you're not going to look as big as when you're just decently lean or even bear mode. Can you still injure your back if it's straight when doing barbell bent over rows and deadlifts? Of course. If you have weak lower back and abs, even if your form is very good, you can get injured. Or if your programming is not on point. If you're doing a lot of minimalist stuff in particular, you can suffer from overuse injuries. That's very possible. So my advice for you is to pay serious attention to your programming, your volume and intensity, the percentages. And maybe sometimes you can rotate different variations. Or if you notice that your lower back is aching from doing rows because you just did some heavy deadlifts right before, well, maybe you can do band or cable rows or just get on the weighted pull-ups. It's about listening to your body, not your ego. So, yeah, even if your form is great, you can still get hurt. Some of the best lifters get hurt under weird circumstances. You see it all the time on Instagram. So really be careful, and my best advice is to ensure that your programming is on point. Yo, Alex, do you think pistol squats carry over to lunges and other unilateral leg lifts in general? Absolutely, man. All the unilateral exercises work together. So if you get a stronger lunge, your pistol squat goes up. You get a stronger pistol squat, your lunge goes up. That's why if you want the best single leg strength, ideally you want to include a bunch of different variations. That is if you're using concurrent periodization. Okay, so that's how I'd program it personally. And it's actually what I used to do in the alpha body days, So you might do reverse lunge with dumbbells, reverse lunge with a barbell, and you're doing a Bulgarian split squat, then a pistol squat, then a pistol box squat. You see how I'm rotating the variations? It's the same premise as always. Same thing that you would do to build your bench or your overhead press or your squat, your deadlift, same thing. But now you're applying that philosophy to the unilateral leg lifts. And in that case, yes, it 100% has carryover, and I have no doubt that you'll benefit from this. Yeah, Alex, when performing overhead press variations, is it enough to switch between the fat grips to overcome the biological law of accommodation? I don't really recommend this, man. For most of you, it probably won't be enough. You're going to end up plateauing very soon if you're using a concurrent type setup, okay? It doesn't really alter the movement pattern that much. The surface area is bigger. You're probably going to have to use a false grip as well. And, it's altered very slightly, maybe in terms of grip. People don't realize that, but when you use a fat grip, sometimes you go a little bit wider, a little bit closer. So that could be a factor. But in general, I would say no, man. You're better off just switching from touch and go to pause, or just doing it off pins, or any other variation, something that's a little bit different, you know, or just seated instead of standing, stuff like that. But just using fat grips instead of regular, I can see you plateauing pretty quickly with that approach. Can high volume calisthenics be considered as cardio GPP? If not, why? Oh yeah, it could be considered that, man. And this is pretty much what I've done for a very long time. Like, I really enjoy doing a lot of push-ups and pull-ups and even lunges outside. You know, you could do walking lunges up a hill, or just reverse lunges, you know, for a long period of time if the regular style hurts your knees. And just calisthenics in general get you extremely fit. It raises your work capacity. So if you're running a naturally enhanced setup, intensity day, volume day, and then the next day you want to do calisthenics, well, that actually blends really nicely. It'll only make you a better lifter, and you're developing something else that's different, you know? That body weight strength, that pound for pound performance. It's a beautiful thing, and honestly, every single one of you should be getting to some type of calisthenics. So if you don't want to get into world of weighted, okay, and you're just using it to condition your body, you know, a little bit extra on the side, then I say, yeah, calisthenics is a great tool for sure. Hey, Alex, what do you think of having an explosive day, power day, in addition to the intensity and volume days? Well, in that case, we're talking a heavy, light, medium setup, right? So Monday, heavy, Wednesday, light, Friday, maybe you're dynamic. You can train like that, perfectly fine. Although I prefer the classic volume day, intensity day setup. And the volume day would start off with the dynamic effort and explosive power stuff. At the same time, with this approach, now you can dedicate the other days to doing the jumps, you know, which I believe are going to be very helpful. Read Special Strength Training Manual for All Coaches by Dr. Vikashansky. He gives you the best recommendations for this. So I think if you do it that way, where there's 72 hours between the workouts, you're going to have the best blend possible, you know. But if you want to do it the way you're suggesting, heavy, light, medium, that's fine. But the volume day is going to be lower in percentages, and it's pretty much going to be your light day at that point. Or it's going to be like 2 volume days in a sense. So yeah, you could train like that. It's just a different method. Yo, Alex, I have a 16.3 inch neck unflexed and 17.4 inch neck flex at 5'9" and 178. Yet it looks small in the mirror and in pictures. Advice. Well, it looks small in the mirror. You know what you're probably doing? This. You're flexing your neck all the way forward because you're trying to get a close-up, right? And that's making your neck look smaller by default, you know? Or you're just standing really close in front of the mirror. Why don't you, like, really step back and then look at yourself? You might find that because your posture is on point, your neck actually looks bigger. It's crazy that I'm saying this, but it's true. And then in regards to pictures, are you using a cell phone? Man, especially selfie mode, it tends to use a fisheye lens, right? Like a small fisheye lens, and that can make your face look really, really weird, okay? It'll distort your features, might make your nose look a lot bigger, and it'll kind of like compress your face and make the neck and traps look way smaller, and it makes your head look bigger as well. So that's why you're going to look the most realistic in portrait type photos using a DSLR camera for the most part. Or just another hack is to step far away from the camera, okay? So don't be like right here. Make sure that the camera is really far back, and maybe you could have someone take that picture for you, and you'll see that your features look a lot better this way. So the camera, the lens, you always got to factor that in, okay? Because, I mean, look, your neck is not stupid huge or anything, but it shouldn't look excessively small. It shouldn't look tiny, okay? Oh, and another possibility, by the way, is that you just have body dysmorphia, and you've been looking at all these guys who have much bigger necks than yourself, and you're just in this competitive mode of constantly comparing, which I strongly recommend you get away from. So, I mean, look, man, you're doing good. The neck's growing in size. It's not a bad number, but it could be bigger. And just keep staying on that grind, man. But keep in mind, when you look in the mirror and when you're doing the picture thing, it could definitely distort the way that you actually look. Are there any lower back exercises you can do at home? I mean, there's a ton, but probably my favorite is the band good morning. It's really easy to do. You just take a band, stand on it, and start bending up and down, okay? These are really good for lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. And it's kind of like a strength, size, and restoration builder simultaneously. So I like doing these the day after my workouts. Fantastic if you're doing a lot of heavy pulls, by the way. So those are great. You can also check out my DIY reverse hyper tutorial, you know. Yeah, if you have something to do it off, like a table or a home power rack or anything like that, then I would definitely recommend you go that route, because reverse hypers will do a lot for lower back. Hey Alex, I'm around 160 pounds and I take 90 grams of protein daily. Am I guaranteed to hit a plateau very soon, or is it still enough to build muscle? Thanks. yeah, I mean, I can't guarantee that you'll plateau. It's possible that you're still going to be fine. But let's be honest here, 90 grams of protein at 160 body weight is not optimal. It simply isn't, my friend. So I recommend getting at least 120. And if you're on a plant-based diet, maybe you want to go a little bit higher than that because of the bioavailability. So ultimately, I would say the calorie surplus is going to be the most important thing here in addition to the programming, okay? You can make great gains with lower levels of protein, okay? Again, it's not optimal, but it can still be quite effective. So 90 grams, I mean, you should be getting at least 120. For your body weight, you know, at least 120. But I can't guarantee a plateau. Is it okay to put plates below your feet to help mobility while squatting? I don't really recommend that because the plates could slip, and if you're going really heavy, it just sounds like a dangerous move to me. So I'd much rather you fix the root issue before masking it with problems like this, okay? I just don't recommend it, man. So start practicing some drills, maybe backtrack the weight a little bit and get that mobility down. You should be able to squat to depth, no problem. And if you want to enhance that effect further, not as a band-aid, but just because you want to, then you can invest in some squat shoes, okay? So you have a little bit of elevation, and now it makes it a bit easier to get into that acid grass position. So look into those. But again, you should not be using them as a crutch. If you can't get down that deep position without using those shoes, we have an issue here, okay? So definitely you want to fix the root cause first. Alex, would doing reverse lunges and RDLs alone be enough to grow legs to a decent size? Absolutely. If you just did those two exercises and you got brutally strong at them, not only can you get decently sized legs, you can make them absolutely massive to the point where they are competition worthy. You can compete on a bodybuilding stage, have very, very, very impressive wheels with lunges and RDLs. Absolutely 100%. Lunges are absolutely incredible in all regards. You'll do a fantastic job building up your quads, hamstrings, and glutes, and it's great on the lower back as well. You're getting more out of less weight. Try high volume, you'll see what I'm talking about. Then the RDL is like one of the best deadlift variations for bodybuilding, where you're getting that stretch reflex effect. You're getting some nice range of motion. You're building those hamstrings. You could use higher volume, you know, in a way that's not just touch and go off the floor. Like, this is a really, really, really great pull. So if you just did those two and you focus on them like extensively over time, you're going to be jacked as hell, okay? I would say your strength will determine how jacked you're going to get, all right? So depending how far you want to take these two lifts, it'll be your strength level, okay? Oh, and by the way, if you're going to do this approach, I would still recommend a little bit of accessories just to enhance your longevity and ensure that you don't have any weaknesses or develop any injuries of the sort, okay? So I recommend, you know, doing some reverse hypers, always lower back and abs for the most part, and then maybe, you know, some band terminal knee extensions or, you know, glute ham raises, something like that. But a little bit of accessories on top of what you're doing just to reinforce everything, and you'll be good. Maybe some leg curls, you know, like, but in terms of compound movements, those two exercises will do the trick, 100% guaranteed. If I'm doing weighted chins and face pulls, should I still be doing rows? Yeah, you probably should be because it's an important movement pattern that could make a difference in the long run, okay? And even though you can build a great back with weighted chins and face pulls, and you're probably not going to have any injuries from doing that, you might as well throw in some rows. Now, in 2018, I did pull-up specialization, and mostly I didn't do any rows, right? But because I was doing a lot of bench, I said, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea. So I started doing some band rows. And I felt that my recovery was even better, and my posture started to improve more and more as I started upping the rows. So I do think they're important. Maybe you don't have to go crazy with the weights. You don't have to go, you know, do a lot of free weighted rows and stuff like that. Maybe you could just do inverted rows, which is, again, specific to what you're doing here. So, you know, you can get on the power rack, do inverted rows that way, or just doing the bands and the cables. Or if you can do free weights, you know, lighter weight, higher volume type approach. But yeah, man, I think rows are definitely great to do. And if you're performing a lot of bench press, it's in your best interest to perform the opposite movement pattern, okay? And I know Matt Wenning says you want to do twice the volume of your rows compared to bench. And I think if you follow that, injuries are, in fact, minimized. So, I mean, look, you're going to be fine with just doing the pull-ups and the face pulls, but I still think doing rows is a good idea. Hey, Alex, longtime subscriber. Thank you for all your content over the years. Well, thank you, too. My question is, do a lot of calisthenics athletes who are really aesthetic and particularly over 80 kilograms use steroids? Is it as common as in elite bodybuilders or powerlifters? Also, how much would it help for advanced movements like full planche? That's a really good question, OG. I would say it is a lot less common in the calisthenics world for guys to be enhanced. Now, there are some people who use it, but I would say it's definitely not the norm, including at the elite level. So a lot of these heavyweight calisthenics athletes, most of them are natural. They just have these amazing physiques because weighted calisthenics is legit as fuck. If you actually dedicate yourself to it, the weighted pull-ups, the weighted dips, and all those other variations that these guys are doing, and the high volume, if you actually try it out, you'll see that it does an excellent job of getting you fit, jacked, and stupid strong. Just weighted calisthenics will make you great at weights for the most part. With the exception of maybe the lower body, okay? Like squats and all that, unless you're doing a lot of weighted pistols. But even there, not really the most specific thing there. But in general, weighted calisthenics can get you really, really, really developed. And I would say a lot of guys can look similar to natural bodybuilders. So yeah, man, the guys who are like 80 kilos around there, a lot of them are natty, man. But obviously, as the movement grows more and more, we're going to start seeing these crazy roiding guys popping out. But definitely they're less common. Like at the elite level of powerlifting, bodybuilding, like mostly everyone is on drugs, okay? Like I would say 9 out of 10 times. But for calisthenics, we can't really say those figures. It's probably the opposite. You know, maybe 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10. I can't give you precise numbers, but a lot less drug use going on there, okay? Now, in terms of learning skills and all that, I have no idea. I can tell you that Olympic gymnasts are enhanced, so that probably helps with the recovery. But does it help skill work necessarily? I have no idea, bro. I don't think it would that much because this is really a specific thing that you got to train for. And with the exception of the improved recovery, I don't know, man. I mean, we can also argue that if you raise your absolute strength so high from using drugs, that maybe it would just give you this insane carryover effect. That's quite possible, but I can't say. I really don't know. But hey, I could be wrong. So if you guys got more feedback on this, just let me know, all right? Hi, Alex. Love your videos, man. I've been obese and I lost more 60 pounds. Great job, bro. I've been working on a Novice program for the last 5 months and I achieved insane gains. However, I'm reaching the intermediate level and I'm noticing that my gains are lagging. I'm working 1 year and 6 months and I've achieved my strength standards for the main lifts. I'm still a bit fluffy and I hit a fat loss plateau. I really can't go below 1,800 calories. I'm having issues recovering with 2,000 calories already. What do you suggest, man? Okay. First of all, make sure that you're actually getting 1,800 calories. Can you confirm as an absolute fact that this is what you're getting? Because I'm a little bit skeptical here, man. If you're getting that low amount, you should still be losing weight unless you're like really, really lean. So I would pay serious attention. Are you calculating everything? Are you calculating the oil that you're using in your frying pan? Maybe you should go oil-free in that case too, by the way. Like really, really, really be mindful of this and get yourself a weight scale and definitely like log everything that goes into your mouth, man. If it's true that 1,800 calories is in fact resulting in a plateau, the only thing I could say is that you want to drop it even further. Try 1,700 calories. If that's not working, try 1,600 and just keep going lower and lower until the weight loss comes off. Eventually it will. If you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose some weight. There's no way around that, okay? So you just have to lower that deficit even further, okay? And that's my best advice for you. If you want to enhance the process even more, I could tell you to get into some fasting strategies, you know? So maybe once a week, you could do a 48-hour fast. Or a 72 once every 2 weeks, you know? Or 72 once a month and 48s for the other 3 weeks. So that's definitely an option. Some people would tell you to get on a low-carb or keto diet. I'm not going to say you should do that. In my opinion, it's about calories in versus calories out. So calorie deficit, you throw in a little bit of fasting here and there. Obviously, up the cardio as well. So if you're doing 20 minutes of the list, increase to 30. If that stalls, increase to 40. That's pretty much all you got to do. Lower caloric intake, a little bit more cardio, throw in a little bit of fasting here and there. You're going to get stupid lean, my friend. And you're talking about you're struggling to recover. Well, what's your objective, man? Are you trying to get lean or what? You have to sacrifice a little bit. I lost a lot of strength on my bench when I first got lean, but then I started building back up. So yeah, your recovery will definitely suffer as you get leaner and leaner. The closer you get to that shredded state, which I'm not advising you do, the more difficult it is on recovery. That's a part of the game too. Oh yeah, and one final suggestion, make sure your programming is on point, man. Because that could be causing you to overreach, especially with the loss of calories. So pay attention, my man. I hope this helps you out. Tips on growing massive legs using squats and deadlifts, please. What do you want to know, man? Just get strong as fuck on those 2 exercises and you should be fine. Get your squat to 4 or 5 plates. Get your deadlift to 5, 6 plates. See what happens to your legs. It's the process of building up these numbers, treating them as competition lifts. Go to a powerlifting meet, look at the lifters. You'll see that they tend to have massive legs on average. You have your exceptions, but most people who are strong at these 2 lifts tend to have pretty big legs, okay? So focus on those 2. And obviously hit the variations as well, in addition to the accessories that not only aid in strength building and size, but keep you safe as well. So your reverse hypers, you know, all the lower back and ab work, all the stuff I'm always talking about in my videos, maximize program. I'm not going to repeat myself here, but honestly, just get a super strong squat and deadlift and see what happens to your legs. Whatever program you use to get there, I don't care. Just get strong as hell. See what happens to the legs. Alex, I want your insight on using lifting hooks to do barbell shrugs. Will shrugs be more effective removing the forearms out of the equation and solely targeting the traps? Well, in terms of grip strength, yeah, you definitely, it will help. And that's why I recommend doing shrugs with straps. It makes no sense to do a double overhand grip and you're limited by the weight you could use. Maybe 2 or 3 plates, something like that. Like, why? You're trying to hit your traps, and your traps are so much stronger than your freaking grip. So I recommend straps, but if you want to use lifting hooks as well, hey, if it works, why not, right? I've never tried it. I suppose one of the exclusive benefits of this approach is the fact that your hands are going to be a bit lower, right? Because the hooks, which means the barbell might not crush into your balls. So if that's true, then the hooks would actually be superior to straps. So try it out, bro, but I would say definitely you never want grip to be an issue when shrugging. Are back extensions a good enough substitute for reverse hypers? They're a great exercise, and you can use them in place of reverse hypers, but in terms of the benefits that it has to offer, hell no, man. You're not getting the rotation of the sacrum. You're not tractioning the spine. And it's a different movement pattern. The reverse hyper is a restoration and strength builder that also gets you jacked. So it's really an exclusive exercise, and a regular back extension can't offer that. What it can do is help in building the squat and deadlift. It can correct muscular weaknesses, and it can get your posterior chain brutally strong. But in terms of the rejuvenation, hell no, man. You're not getting that rotation of the sacrum. You're not tractioning. So from a muscle building standpoint, yes, it can substitute. From a strength building perspective, yeah, back extensions are amazing, and I strongly recommend you do them. But in terms of replacing the exclusive benefits that reverse hyper has to offer, it can't do that. I do full body twice a week, volume intensity day. Can I just do farmer walks twice a week heavy for trap growth, or would this fire my CNS? I think you'd be fine with that. I don't think it's going to affect your recovery in a negative way. Although I'll tell you this, right? If you're doing the concurrent approach, volume day, intensity day, why are you going to do heavy farmer walks on both days? Just do one day, heavier farmer walks, another day, volume farmer walks. And that's going to get you serious trap gains, and it's going to blend better. I think you're actually going to get stronger with this approach. You're going to suffer less overuse. You'll be able to prolong the progressive overload, okay? You're going to have better strength development, and it's just going to blend perfectly. That's what it's all about. Volume day, intensity day. Let's leave it at that. So if you do it this way, I think you'll get even better gains. But in truth, if you did volume farmer walks on both days, you'd still be fine, but it just wouldn't be optimal in my opinion, because you are interfering the adaptations a little bit, and you might as well just do one day heavy, one day lighter. Okay, last question of the week. Hey man, I appreciate your help with all your videos. They really help a lot. Glad to hear, man. I have 2 separate questions. What do you think about tattoos, and what body fat calculator do you use? In terms of tattoos, I think most of them look badass. In terms of getting one for myself, I probably wouldn't do that because I'd likely regret it in the future. A lot of us make a lot of dumb mistakes when we're young, and maybe getting a tattoo that is part of a phase is not worth it in the long run, you know? So I'd probably pay attention to the prefrontal cortex. From what I've researched, it appears that it's fully done developing at age 25. So until you're that age, you want to be mindful of what you're doing with your body, you know? And obviously, not every decision you make will be the correct one, okay? Even if you think that you're being logical. So that's something to factor in, and that's why I'm concerned about getting tattoos. I suppose the only thing that would make me get one is if something really, really impacted me, like a life-changing event, something that like I just can't get over no matter what, and will stick with me for the rest of my life. Then perhaps I would consider it, you know, in terms of the symbolism effect. But honestly, like I have my mind, I got my memories. I don't think I need a tattoo for that. But in terms of the appearance of it, I think they look amazing. I think most tattoos look fantastic. I really like art and different forms of it, you know, and I think it's another way to express yourself. So I have no problems with people who choose to wear them. That's cool. And also it's a great illusion strategy, you know, especially for bear mode. Tattoos make you look leaner. They can enhance your physique in a certain type of way. Like I know Lee Priest has some sick tats, you know, so yeah, man, I think they're cool. And in regards to body fat calculators, I don't pay attention to any of that stuff, man. Like what matters is how you look like in the mirror, you know, and also the more experience you get with training and working with people, you can eyeball it. You can look at a physique and say, okay, this guy's 15%, this guy's around 20, you know, even if we're not considering the visceral fat. On average, it's pretty easy to guess once you've been in this for a long time, you know? You could just see it. You got to have that experience. So check out my video, Body Fat Percentage Obsession, and you'll see why I'm not overly concerned with this number. What matters is how you look like, how you're performing, all that good stuff, you know? But if you want some ranges that I like to recommend, well, if you want to be bare mode, 15-20%. And if you want to be decently lean, I would say 12 to 15%, you know? Or 10 to 15, but 12 is a solid number, honestly. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. Post more questions down below, and I'll talk to you all next week.